Previously on WandaVision.
We've all been missing, presumed dead for 5.5 years.
Why did you say that name? Why did you say that name?
Thanks so much for coming back for these WandaVision recaps. I'm really enjoying talking with you guys about this show, and every single episode just gets better and better. And before I get into it, a couple things. Number one, huge spoiler warning. We're going to be talking about elements that happened in this episode, and if you don't want to be spoiled, pause it, go watch it, and come right back. Second thing, if you're enjoying my recaps, hit that like button. If you're a fan of this sort of thing, hit that subscribe button. And if you want to know as soon as I put out a video, hit that notification bell. This episode, no surprise, has the 80s sitcom feel. Although I wasn't exactly sure if it was going to be straight up sitcom like the first 3 episodes, or if it was going to be half and half with some parts in the sitcom and some parts in the real world. And it is. And the real world parts definitely tell a different story than what's being told inside. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Billy and Tommy, twins. They're babies at the beginning of this episode, and they are not babies at the end of this episode. Before the titles roll, they're 5. They just age like frickin' Nikki in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Like, baby, 5.
I'm 5, you dork!
And then in the first part of this episode, like after the title screen, they go from 5 to 10. And they do this on their own. Yeah. And we found out last episode where Monica, right before she kind of like goes out of consciousness, is Wanda. It's all Wanda. There has now been some declassified footage of Wanda breaking into a facility and stealing the components which made Vision the synthesoid robot that he was. She put Humpty Dumpty back together again. And it's really wild because, you know, we were in on the fact that Wanda was over this sort of thing, but we didn't realize the lengths that she went to. And it looks like she is handling some grief with the death of her family, with the death of her brother, with the death of Vision. And it looks like this show is stage 3 of the Kubler-Ross stages of grief. She is bargaining like a son of a gun. It looks like Agnes is definitely helping Wanda out. Agnes is in on it. I'm pretty sure. At some point there's a conversation that doesn't flow like it's supposed to. And instead of Agnes saying, well, is something wrong? Is there something that I've done wrong or anything like that? She says, do you want to take it from the top? Nobody says that. Unless you are in a TV production or a jazz band, nobody asks you to take it from the top. And Wanda pretends like this is just normal, it's no big deal. And Vision is like, no, this is a big deal. There's something oddly strange going on with Agnes and everything else. And at this time, Wanda does not like do a jump cut or rewind time. She just dismisses Vision's, whatever his feelings as just paranoia. Another thing that happens is that Vision's office is kind of being updated. Now they're working with big, giant, boxy computers, and they have email, which I didn't realize they had that in the 80s, but hey, they got it. They did some dial-up internet. Nostalgia. And everybody gets a company-wide email talking about the perimeter of Westview and how there's radiation and please advise. So whether that was supposed to go to Vision or whether that was just something that was intercepted is up for debate. But everybody kind of laughs about it, think that it's a joke, and Vision is like, this is not a joke. And then he touches Norm's temples and Norm is like, I need to talk to my sister, she's taking care of my dad, what's going on? And Vision's like, Wanda has these people as hostages. But before I keep going into the sitcom portion of this episode, let's backtrack and talk about the SWORD/FBI conversation outside of Westview. Hayward, who is the director of SWORD, is a jerk. He is definitely somebody who has gotten on everyone's bad side. The longer the episode goes, the more people's bad side he gets on. And it comes to a point later on. We'll get to that. So Jimmy Woo and Darcy Lewis definitely have this comedic back and forth that is just so awesome. They could have their own show, kind of like a Scully and Mulder X-Files, but it's like called the M-Files or something. Like they're great. The chemistry, and it's not even romantic, it's just comedic chemistry. It's on point. I love it. I want more of it. They see that the twins have aged up to 10 and they're going over some theories. They send over a drone into Westview, which has not worked all of these other times, but now that they're in the 80s, they send a drone from the 80s into Westview, and Wanda finds that drone. And then she takes that drone back to them because Hayward, being the smart guy that he is, decided to arm it with a missile. Now Monica, who was flying the drone, had no idea that there was a missile there, and Monica was like, I just want to talk. And then Hayward's like, and Monica's like, oh hell no. So the shot was taken, it doesn't work. Wanda brings the drone back and says, don't mess with me, don't mess with my family. You take care of your people, I'll take care of my people. She has every single SWORD agent point their guns at Hayward because she realizes that was the dickless son of a bitch that called that missile stunt in the first place.
Ooh, you kiss your mother with that mouth?
And then she says, Monica, I don't think you're there to hurt me, but I just want to be left alone and have what I want. And she goes back into Westview, and then that whole panel of radiation turns red. And that is ominous, to say the least. Oh, and Hayward survives, so it's not all good news. Meanwhile, Vision gets back. The dog. Oh, I didn't even mention the dog. What's wrong with me?
You're a monster!
Billy and Tommy found a dog earlier in the episode, and they couldn't keep it because they were 5. They weren't old enough, so they aged up to 10 so they could keep it, but then the dog got into Agnes's azalea bushes and ate some leaves, and then the dog died. So the dog died, and Billy and Tommy are like, well, Mommy, fix this, because you can fix anything. You can fix the dead. And Agnes is like, you can fix that? And we're like, I mean, Vision's a machine, but can she fix that? And then at this point, Vision comes up from work, and he's like, oh boys, death is just a part of life, and they bury the dog, and then Vision comes and talks to Wanda. And this is a conversation that's a long time coming. He's like, Wanda, you need to let these people go. They've done nothing to deserve this. I talked to Norm today. He has a family. He's worried sick about them. And you're doing this to them. And Wanda's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Roll credits. And Vision is like, no. We're not rolling these credits. We're having this talk right now. He put his foot down and he's trying to have this like very important talk. And they leave the room, credits gone, and they look like they're about to square off, like they both like rise in the air, like they're about to freaking fight in the house. And Vision's like, I don't remember anything that happened before I married you. I don't remember anything before Westview. What's going on? And she's like, all you need to know is that you love me. Isn't that enough? And it's like, manipulative. And it seems like every single time that they're about to have a breakthrough, there's some sort of distraction or a cut or a censor or something. And just before they're about to have this like maybe good breakthrough, the doorbell rings. And Vision's like, we can't even have a meaningful talk. And Wanda's like, I didn't do that. And Vision's like, I want to believe you, so I'm not going to look at statistics. Anyway, Wanda goes to the door, opens the door, and it's freaking Pietro.
You didn't see that coming.
No. Not that Pietro. That Pietro. And the sword guys are watching this, and Darcy calls it perfectly. She says they recast Pietro. And it's crazy because, you know, in the MCU you have the Sokovian accent. In this one, he's straight Jersey, baby. He has his Jersey accent, and the fact of the matter that they got the Quicksilver from the Fox series and brought him into the MCU. The mutants are coming. They gotta be. This episode blew me away. There were so many moments that made me go, holy crap. And then that very last moment with Pietro showing up was just crazy. And I didn't even bring up a whole lot of other points, but those were the ones that I definitely wanted to talk about. So, wow. So that's my recap of WandaVision Episode 5. Let me know what you thought about it in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, and if you're new here, subscribe to the channel. Share this with your friends, and as always, this is Cameron with CBM Reviews. We'll see you next time. They brought up an interesting point that nobody's ever called her Scarlet Witch before. Like, she doesn't have a code name. But Darcy's like, you know, she's hexing stuff because of all the hexagonal anomalies, and so Darcy is responsible for the Hex magic name because Darcy's awesome.